Psalms 121 in its entirety. I'm going to read the King James Version of the Bible. Psalms 121 in its entirety. David is the author of this Psalms. Psalms 121. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills from which cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord, which has made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. I want to talk about just for a few minutes. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, he is my helper. Amen. That's what we're going to talk about just for a few minutes. The Lord is my helper. He is my helper. In the Hebrew Bible, or the Old Testament, there are 15 psalms that are called the Psalms of Ascent, which together make up one of the most precious and beautiful portions of the Bible. These Psalms of Ascent were given this moniker because it is believed that they were sung when the children of Israel came to Jerusalem and ascended to the top of Mount Zion, where they would hold a feast before the Lord. And I believe that this particular physical ascent of the Israelites up to Mount Zion is a type and shadow or a picture of the spiritual ascent of Christians. In our Christian walk, we go from one level in our relationship with God to another level. Some things that used to bother you before don't bother you anymore because you have ascended with the Lord. Some things that used to worry you, you sleep through it now because you have ascended with the Lord. Some way you used to give somebody a piece of your mind, you keep your mind to yourself now because you have ascended with the Lord. Some doctor's reports that used to worry you, you don't even worry about them anymore because you have ascended with the Lord. And I believe I'm looking at a group of people in here. All of us have ascended in one way or another. Now, you ain't made it to the top of Mount Zion yet, but you are on your way. Tell your neighbor, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I'm still ascending. I have not quite ascended, but I'm still ascending. I'm still walking up the mountain. That's why I don't let folk bother me the way I used to let folk bother me, because I have ascended. My walk with the Lord is getting better. Every day with the Lord is an opportunity to go higher in our walk and in our worship. Being with the Lord, watch this, is not a stagnated existence. It is an existence, not an existence of mundane and melancholy moments. No, walking with the Lord is a continuing movement and an upward rising from one spectacular realization to another. It is a growing experience. It is a growing experience. It is a growing experience. experience. It is an onward and upward experience. It is filled with maturity. I didn't think I was going to come out of it. It is a moment, or it is moments that mature you. Something that you can taste and feel. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Because anybody who knows anything about being in covenant relationship with the Lord knows that it is a relationship that consists of walking, that consists of movement. It is a relationship that involves a perpetual transitioning. And whenever you have movement, it is tempered with trust. You have to trust God in order to move with God. I'm going to say that again. You have to trust God in order to move with God. Because sometimes God will tell you to move before he tells you where to move. Sometimes God will tell you to move without telling you where to move. Sometimes God will give you destination without giving you directions. So if we don't trust God, we cannot move with God. If we do not trust God, we cannot move in God. If we don't trust God, we cannot move to God, and we definitely cannot move for God. You cannot truly profess to be in covenant relationship with the Lord if you are stagnant, if you're comfortable, if you are satisfied. God is a God of movement. God is a God of creation. God is a God of productivity. God is a God of fruit. God is a God of creativity. Therefore, God's people must emulate God's character. This walk, this relationship is transitive. It is a forward walk. It is a steady and progressive walk. It requires you and me to have patience in God's promises and God's provisions. It is a long walk, a tedious, laborious walk. But at the end of the day, it's a rewarding walk. It is a blessed walk. It is a thankful walk. Yes, it takes patience. It takes perseverance. You've got to be willing, Calvary, to go through some stuff. Because even if you're not willing to go through it, you still got to go through it. Doesn't matter if you're willing or not, but if you're willing, it's better. But if you're not willing, oh well, you got to go through it anyway to get to where God is called. Yea, though I walk through. It is a steady and progressive walk. It allows and requires me that even when I don't understand God, I've got to follow God. Got to persevere. I've got to go through what I've got to go through. And the enemy knows that sometimes I don't want to go through it. The enemy knows that I don't really have much patience. That's why every time things get a little tough, I want to throw in the towel and I want to quit. I want to run with my tail between my legs and play the surrender game, and then I wonder why I never get any higher in the Lord. It's because I run when I should be standing still. I cower when I should have courage. I quit when I should be eager to keep going. God needs you and me to have difficulties, Calvary, so God can be God. I'm going to say it again because you missed that. God needs us to encounter difficulties in life so God can be God. He needs you to start on a journey across the sea and the sun is shining. And then when you get halfway there, the storm clouds start raging. The winds start blowing. Rain starts falling and the lightning starts flashing. And the boat begins to do something that a boat is not supposed to do. The boat begins to take in water where the boat was created to be on water. You'll get that when you get home. And then in the midst of your storm, Jesus shows up. Oh, to let you know you're gonna make it through because you got the right passenger on your boat. Oh, when you with the Lord, you don't have to fear what comes your way because God needs you to have trouble so he can show up and let you know that he is somebody who can handle your trouble. He needs you and me to have some doubts so God can be God. God needs you and me not to be able to see everything so we can learn how to walk by faith. You're not going to have all the answers. The number's not going to always add up. The situation is not going to always look like it's going to be able to, you're going to be able to make it through. And God said, that's what I need. So you can learn how to walk by this thing that you say every Sunday that you got. And I don't want to hear if you got it. I want to see if you got it. That's why. It doesn't make sense to you. You didn't add it, subtracted it, multiplied it, divided it. You looked at cosine, sine. You looked at the theory and the theorem, and it just don't make sense. God says, I need it not to make sense because where you add by addition, I add by subtraction, and where you subtract by minus, I subtract by plus, and where you multiply by times, I multiply by the division. You're not gonna understand it. I don't do things the way you do it. I don't set up things the way you set it up. I don't see things the way you see it. I'm not supposed to. I am God. I'm not supposed to follow you. You're supposed to learn how to follow me. And when you learn how to follow me, you will know that in the end, it was only by God's grace that we made it. So he needs me to have some storms so God can be God. And if you learn how to trust God, God will show you that he is God. So David says to you today, Calvary, you are ascending, you are moving up, you are transitioning from one level to another in God's grace and God's mercy, in God's might and in God's power. Now, since you are moving up the mountain, since you are moving up the hills, you know that you are not moving alone. The Lord is helping you with your move. You cannot move in the Lord without the Lord. So wherever you are destined to go, you know that you're going with the assistance of the Lord. Now that doesn't mean that going is going to always be easy. Just because the Lord is moving me does not mean that there won't be some entities, some traps and some snares, some ditches and some snitches that try and stop me from moving. But David says, when they try to stop you, this is what you need to do. Keep your eyes stayed on the hills from which comes your help. In other words, David says, I've got to keep an observation on my destination. I cannot take my eyes off the hill because the hill is where I'm going. If I take my eyes off that hill, I may end up in the valley. If I take my eyes off the hill, I may end up in the wrong place. If I take my eyes off the hills from which cometh my help, I may end up going the wrong direction. Tell your neighbor, I got to keep my observation on my destination. I don't know where you're going, but I do know where I'm going. And I cannot let all the mess get up in the way of my observation, because it may mess up my destination. Got to keep my eyes on the Lord. Didn't come here to be cute. Didn't come here to be seen. I've got a destination. I've got to stay focused. I've got to keep my observation on that destination. And I say to you, my brothers and my sisters, that we must keep our eyes affixed on our Savior. Stay focused on your destination. Do not get your location and your destination confused. I'm going to say it again. Do not get your location and your destination confused. Your location is where you are. Your destination is where you're meant to be. Your location is where you are. Your destination is where you are meant to be. And you're wondering why you cannot be satisfied in your location. Because that location is not your destination. And God won't let you be satisfied in a place that God has not destined for you to be. That's why you always have to understand that many people get frustrated and intimidated by the journey to the destination. Then they give up and they make what God meant to be a location and they turn it into a destination. That's why your life is not fulfilling, because you made your location your destination. That's why you can't find no joy, because you made your location your destination. That's why you've outgrown everybody in your room, because you made your location your destination. That's why you hate your job, because you made your location your destination. You going to a job, God is trying to get you to your work. Somebody will get that when you get home. That's not your work, that's just your job. That's not your work, that's just your job. Because your job will give you money, but your work will make you whole. I wish I had somebody in here who understood that's not my job, that's not my work, that's just my job. I'm not going to stop till I find my work. And when you get in your work, that place that you were created to be, that place where God called you to be, doing what Yes. Says you got to keep moving towards your destination and understand that God will help us. We know where our help comes from. We know who has brought us this far. We know who will be our guiding light in the midst of the darkness. And we've made up in our minds that we will keep moving. Keep our eyes on our observation, on the way to our destination. Because when you keep your observation on your destination, David says he will not suffer thy foot to be moved. Look at your neighbor and say, we're not going anywhere. I know there's somebody who wants us to give up. And I know there's somebody who wants me to give in. But look at your neighbor and tell him, my foot shall not be moved. I'm going to stay in the place that God has placed me to do what God is calling me to do. So every step that I make, I know I will have a stronghold because I've got the Lord holding my hand. And I've got the Lord guiding my feet. And I can walk this walk because I know I will not slip. And I will not fall. You ought to tell the enemy that's trying to stop you, you will not be stopped. You will not be deterred. The same trick you're trying now are the tricks that you've already tried. And they didn't work back then. So they're not going to work right now. I'm on my way to being who God is calling me to be. And my foot will not be moved. He that keepeth me will not slumber. I'll tell your neighbor, the Lord is not asleep. That's why I can rest in late in the midnight hour, because it don't make no sense for both of us to be up, because the Lord is wide awake. He's watching over me, and he's making sure I'm all right. If you're not too mean, give somebody a high five and say, neighbor, my God doesn't sleep, nor does he slumber. That's why you got to be careful how you treat me, because the Lord is not asleep and he is not slumbering. Grab somebody and say, I am a child of God. So be careful how you treat me, because God is watching me when I'm tossing in my bed or when I'm sleeping like a baby. He's got angels watching over me. We sang in the old church all day and all night. The angels are watching over me. Is there anybody here that knows you got angels watching over you? Every time you turn around, the Lord keeps on making a way for you. If you're not too mean, give God glory for watching over you. The Lord says he will hold you in the palm of his hands. And don't you worry, he won't get tired of watching you. He won't get tired of holding you. And even if it gets hot, the Bible says the sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. You don't have to worry. It'll get hot on this journey, but I'm so glad I've got some shade that I can rest in. Yes, I've got some shade that I can sit under. The Lord will give you rest for your journey. He'll give you rest for your journey. And don't you worry about your enemy, for the Lord will preserve thee from your enemy. Tell your neighbor, I don't have to worry about my enemies. The Lord will take care of me. Yes, if you know what I'm talking about, put your hands together. Bless the Lord, because he will take care of you. Shout yes, yes, yes. I'm so glad. I'm glad the Lord is my helper. And he sent somebody here today to let you know that he is your helper. Trust him. Even when you can't trace him. Trust him. I got some witnesses here that can testify Big Mama was right when she said he may not show up when you want him, but he's always on time. And not only is he on time, he's always in time. Just when you was about to give up, he showed up in time to let you know, I'm your helper, I'm your keeper. If that's one